Welcome, everybody, to Embracing Radical Change. I am so excited to have you gathering here with me today. And in this event, you are invited to join with us in global conversation with 27 cutting-edge experts and thought leaders who will guide you to connect with the truths in your heart, to unlearn the illusions of our modern world, and to activate bold new perspectives about the future of humanity. I'm your host, Jocelyn Mercado, and just to tell you a little bit about me, I am a spiritual guide for the modern world. I am a transformational business coach, and I am the founder of Sacred Planet, which is the overall umbrella that is creating this event, Embracing Radical Change. So I got my MBA. And I worked in finance and business and project management for 15 years in the corporate world before I went off on my own and started Sacred Planet. And I began Sacred Planet because everything had changed and shifted in my life with the birth of my first daughter. It really changed my whole perspective on, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I creating for the future of my own family and all beings on our beautiful planet? And so at that point, which was about 9 years ago, I started studying indigenous wisdom and really all different world religions, but indigenous wisdom is really what stuck with me and made the biggest impact and has changed my life in the biggest ways. And so I have done different trainings with different indigenous leaders and wisdom keepers, and I have kind of integrated that with everything that I have learned in school and learned through experience in my life. So I'm really bringing a very uniquely balanced right brain, left brain, combination of perspectives into my work. And I created Sacred Planet because I wanted to support people in a process of unlearning the rules and regulations of our modern mainstream society. Because so many of these rules and restrictions that we place upon ourselves and that we are taught from a very young age just don't serve our highest good. And so my mission through my work is to help people to break free from all that is holding them back, from all that has held them back in the past, so that we can reconnect with nature, reconnect with joy, reconnect with the essential truths that we hold deep in our hearts. And then if it is right for us to start a community or a business or a movement or something through which we can expand our impact and go out and change the world in really big ways, because that's what the world needs right now, right? And I deeply believe that as the systems and structures of our modern world are being broken down and are crumbling, that there is just tremendous opportunity opening up for us at these times to create something entirely new that is in alignment with what we know in our heart and soul. So I invite you all into a space where we will be joining in global conversations around that and around so many really important topics about what's happening in our world and how we can each play a part and become more connected with our soul's mission as we dive into embracing radical change. So welcome, everybody. I'm just so excited to see all the people pouring in here and joining together. And so I want to tell you just a little bit about the event, kind of a few logistical details before I get started on my presentation to you today. So we will have live interviews every day of this event from today, October 21st, until the last day of the event, Saturday, October 27th. And so almost every day we will have live interviews at 10 a.m. New York time and 1 p.m. New York time. And you can use this exact same Zoom link if you're here with me live. You can use the exact same Zoom link that you used to join today to join all of the live interviews. Okay, so you don't need a different Zoom link each time, just use that same one. Pretty much every day at 10 and 1 New York time, US Eastern time, we'll have live interviews. And then some days also at 4 p.m. Like today at 4 p.m. we have Charles Eisenstein, which I'm so excited about speaking with him today. So just keep an eye on the event schedule page, which you've received information about in prior emails, and join us for all the live interviews that you can, because this is going to be really, really fantastic. Now, there are also some interviews that have been pre-recorded where the speakers weren't going to be available this week. So I interviewed them previous weeks, previous months. So those will be available from the event schedule page. And so again, check your emails and you'll see links to the event schedule page all throughout the emails that I've sent. And if you click on the event schedule page, you'll see the whole list of speakers, when their interviews are becoming available. And for those which are not live, those which were pre-recorded, you'll be able to click on a link that says click here to see, for example, Simone's interview and free gifts. So you can access the pre-recorded interviews on the days that they're available, that way through the event schedule page. So hopefully that kind of answers some of your top questions about how to find the interviews and when they're happening. But we'll keep you well notified by emails throughout the event about everything that's coming up. So we don't want you to miss anything. Okay, so today what I want to share with you is the fact that being bold and fearless in these times today, and what I mean by this is being bold and fearless in your own unique way. This is going to mean something different for everybody listening, okay? But my topic for today is why being bold and fearless in your own unique way changes everything. So I want to say, in the realm of being bold and fearless, right? I want to say that I just absolutely love creating these online events. And so this one, for example, I've been working on since May. That's when I kind of first came up with the idea for embracing radical change based on all that I was seeing and hearing from clients and people all around the world. It's just so clear that we're going through massive, massive change right now on both individual levels and collective levels. And so I create about 2 of these, usually 2, sometimes 3 of these big events each year. And recently I've started doing them with live interviews. And I just love connecting with all of you in live interviews. But it's a little bit of a bold and fearless thing because it's like, okay, hopefully the speakers are well, they can attend, they can show up on time. So I invite you to be bold and fearless in the way that's right for you. This has turned out to be the way that's right for me in recent times here. But I really, really love gathering with all of you here. And I believe so strongly that this format of bringing together many different speakers to offer their unique perspectives on a certain topic, offering it all online, offering it all, making it available for free to anyone who wants to attend, is such a sacred way of using our modern technology for the highest benefit for all involved. And I hope that you will approach it in that way too, because technology gets a bad rap sometimes, and we get pulled into social media, or we spend too much time staring at our phones, whatever it may be. But there are so many really beautiful uses for technology. So I invite you to really embrace this event, Embracing Radical Change, as a way to connect in with the fullest life, as a way to welcome in new perspectives and new opportunities that you may not have been able to see before because of how all of our different speakers are going to bring you their unique perspective and their own experiences and how they have worked with radical change in their own lives. And I just hope that you'll get so much out of it and learn a lot and really experience significant positive change in your lives because of attending this. So when I think about the overarching topic for this event, which is radical change, there are a few things that I want to share with you that I've learned about creating and experiencing massive change. And I've learned about these from working with thousands of clients all around the world. So there are a few points that really stand out for me. So one is that we truly, truly can heal ourselves from depression, from anxiety, from fears, from lack of self-confidence. And we really can recognize that even if these conditions seem to block us from making progress in some ways, they are also portals to deeper understanding and to ways that we are meant to help ourselves and others to heal. And this is really profound because so many times the biggest challenges in our lives are our strongest medicine. So I invite you to really embrace that as you listen to these interviews and think about maybe things in your life that you wish were different. How can you actually become friends with that? How can you actually love that part of yourself? Okay, this is such a big part of the change that we're experiencing right now, so I really invite you into that. Another thing that I have learned and observed through this work is that we really can align with our soul's mission and make a real impact by helping and healing others, even if we don't yet have the perfect plan laid out for exactly how it will happen. So much of this is about following our intuition, following our guidance, following the synchronicities and the signs and the symbols that show up for us. And I'll talk about this a little bit more. But this is another thing that I invite you into, to step forward and to move your life forward in new ways, even if you don't know exactly how it's all going to happen, right? And even if that feels a little bit scary. Another thing that I've learned is that we really can create global movements to change the future of humanity, even if our leaders are not taking action quickly enough or are not taking action in the ways we know in our hearts are right. The truth is that the future of our planet is in the hands of the people, in the hands of grassroots efforts and communities and those who are willing to initiate and activate significant radical change. And I'm going to talk a lot more about this in a minute too. And then perhaps most importantly, something I have learned and experienced in my own life and seen happen again and again and again with my clients is that we truly can become deeply connected with the higher intelligence of the earth and the cosmos and a higher power that is guiding us. And we really can receive frequent insights and information and downloads to guide us. And this is true even if the outside world tells us otherwise. You know, I speak a lot about unlearning what the modern world tells us, and the modern world in many, many cases is telling us to be logical and rational and sensible. But then we have these extraordinary experiences of synchronicity or a dream that is guiding us in a new direction, right? Or all of the other incredible events that happen when we're really tuned in. We know in our hearts what's really true. So I encourage you to step away from being logical and rational in all cases and sticking to that in a very, very severe way, right? And really opening up to the vastness of what more is possible when we open up to new things, new ways of experiencing the world. So that was kind of my little intro about what we're going to get into here, and we're going to get into all of that in much more detail. And I'm going to share some really practical information with you about how you can take action on these things. But I want to say that if you identify and resonate with these ways that we are being called to massively change our lives on all levels that I've just shared with you here, then you are in the right place for this event, and I truly cannot wait to share this global conference of speakers with you. So here's what I see going on in our world right now. The situation we're living in is changing so quickly that we start to feel that we can hardly keep up. We know that we are called to make huge changes in our personal lives, in our society, in our governments, in our educational systems, in our economy, and so on and so on and so on. And we see also those systems, many of them cracking and crumbling and falling apart in different ways, right? So type yes in the chat if you're experiencing this in your life, or if it's really, really striking you how radical change is happening in the world around us. Go ahead and type yes in the chat. I'd love to hear. Yes, yes, yes. Lots of yeses. Yeah, I think we're all just feeling this so strongly right now. And it can be scary, right? And it can be discouraging to feel this way and to know that we are in the midst of so much massive change. And yes, someone said it is happening so fast. Yeah, it really is. Things are speeding up. We're being called to evolve very quickly right now. So yes, I see you are all feeling the same way. So even though it can be discouraging and a little bit scary to be in this space right now, when we really sit with this feeling of pervasive change, and when we sit with it, not allowing it to frighten us, but just looking for what's really happening here, when we allow ourselves to explore into it, what we find is that it's actually opening us up to huge new opportunities. Because regardless of whether we are choosing to make the change or we're being forced into it, or regardless of whether we are enjoying the change, which may be the case for many of you, right? It can be really fun and exciting. So whether we're enjoying it or kind of terrified of it, what's happening is that we are being opened up to the fact that the old ways of doing things are simply not working in the ways that they used to. And once we see this clearly, we realize something extremely powerful. And that is that we get to choose a new way. We get to unlearn all of the societal rules and regulations and mainstream limitations that are placed upon us. We are living in a time when we get to choose something completely different. We get to say enough to all the ways that we've been held back in the past. And we get to choose how we want to live going forward. And in many cases, that new way forward will be very, very different from how we've been doing things up until this time. So this is why I really encourage you to look at the societal rules and regulations that kind of hold our lives in place and really start questioning them. Really start questioning and asking, what is true for me? What is true in my heart? What is the experience that I am actually having? And is it the case that these, societal restrictions are no longer applicable to me or no longer serving my highest good? I see all of this as such a huge opportunity, because this very process of radical change is exactly what is going to allow us and empower us and enable us and motivate us to create, as Charles Eisenstein, who will be speaking later today, says, to create the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. To quit our old jobs and end our old relationships that are not serving us anymore. To choose a new career or a new way of creating income that is truly rewarding. To seek out healing of our body, mind, and soul in ways that we never imagined possible before. And to heal from diseases and traumas and belief systems that we never thought we'd be able to overcome. To embrace who we really are and to honor all aspects of our being. To truly love ourselves unconditionally. This is a really big one, because I think we all struggle with being really, really hard on ourselves, right? And that negative voice in our mind is telling us, you're not good enough, you haven't learned enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to truly love ourselves is a revolutionary act. And I'm going to be sharing with you during this talk several different things that are truly revolutionary acts. So to truly love ourselves is the first one. So we get the choice now to open up to how we're actually meant to serve the world that is in alignment with each and every one of our soul's mission and highest purpose. We get to teach our children and grandchildren that anything is possible and that magic is real, and to keep the magic alive that these young ones already know about, right? They already know way more about it than we do. But we have the opportunity now at this time to make sure that that does not get shut down in them, that they get to keep experiencing that magic, because we can support that in their lives. And also, we get the chance now to once again truly see the magic in the living world around us and in our everyday lives for ourselves. We have the opportunity now to take back our power in political and societal situations where we previously felt trampled upon. And we have the opportunity to assert our beliefs and speak our truth in unprecedented ways. To turn away from consumerism and endless growth, and to turn toward a reconnection with nature and with our dreams and with our inner wisdom. We can do all of these. And this is what we're here to talk about together this week. We have the power. We get to choose. I want to share a quote with you from a man named Dr. Martin Shaw. He's a mythologist and a teacher of amazing things. And so he says, when a culture is in crisis, any form of antidote does not come from the center. It comes from the edge. We need to be able to see that which is at the very edges of our vision, which is trying to prod us into a deeper life. Can you feel that? Can you feel that in your hearts, that the change, the antidote is not coming from the center? It's not coming from our political leaders. It's not coming from our large corporations and our centralized organizations. It's coming from the edge. It's coming from us. So I invite you to really pay attention and sink in, even close your eyes for a minute or two here if you want while I say this next part. Let's really tune in now. So what is it in your life that has been calling out for your attention from the edges of your awareness, and that maybe you've been ignoring or pushing away? So just close your eyes now and sink into that wisdom deep within you. What is it that is calling out to you from the edges? Recognize it now, whatever that is. Name it. Write it down if you have a piece of paper or a journal nearby. And share it in the chat if you feel called to do so. What is it in your life that has been calling out for your attention from the edges of your awareness? If you'd like to share it in the chat, that's really powerful. There's great power in being witnessed around something that's deeply meaningful to you. So I invite you to share it in the chat. And during the next few days, especially if you can between now and the full moon on Wednesday, I invite you to honor this thing. Good, I'm so glad. I'm going to read them in the chat in just a minute, okay? So I invite you to honor this thing that has been calling out for your attention in your life, to acknowledge it, and especially, if you can, to take action on it in some way, whether large or small. So really think about how you might take action on that which you've been pushing away up until now. Let me read a few of these from the chat. So opportunities for another deeper way of being. Beautiful. Creating a new home together. Beautiful. Beauty and nature. Feminine sensual expression. Slow down more. Yes, yes, I hear you, Ellie, I hear you. Energy medicine. Believing I am good enough. Yes. Sacred circles. My inner being, child and critic. To live with more purpose. The book I'm writing, The Hero's Path. Beautiful, Sue. To be the weirdo I am and make an impact. Yes, I love it. I love it, Inkiri. We all need to be the weirdo that we really are, because that is the truest way to make our unique impact. Love it. Dream work. Continue indulging in light, color, and uplifting and healing art. These are so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing these. So really, I invite you to, whatever you've put here in the chat or whatever you've identified for yourself, I really encourage you to write it down somewhere that you will keep it and see it again and again and not forget about it. This is so important because we really easily forget about these things because we're so busy, you know, and our attention gets pulled over to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So write this down. Really take this as sacred, whatever is coming through to you right now. Really honor it, acknowledge it, and decide to take action on it in some way. And we're going to go even a little deeper here, and I'm going to give you some more ways to see this and access that and take action on it. So, yes. So again, as I started to say earlier, the change we need is going to come from us. It's going to come from grassroots movements. It's going to come from small businesses with big plans to change the world. It's going to come from our prayers and our women's circles and our ceremonial work, from small communities, from the youth, from the elders, from the activists. It's going to come from peacekeepers and wisdom keepers. It's going to come from you and me. And it's all about what everybody's writing in the chat right now. These things that we know are absolutely critical to activate in our lives and that we've put off for one reason or another. We really do need to as Guillermo is saying here, jump with all trust into the challenge. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful words. Thank you, Guillermo. Really beautiful. So the change is going to come from the edge, from the edges. So where can we each begin? So what you're putting here in the chat is the perfect place to begin, and we're going to go even a little bit deeper into that. And also, I just want to say, so if you're feeling bold and fearless today, fantastic. Go with that, stick with it, take action on it. But if you're not, right, if you're not feeling particularly bold and fearless today, don't worry, because we are all at different places coming into this. And I'm going to share with you some very practical steps that will allow you to step into being bold and fearless in the ways that are right for you right now. Okay. We are really each on our own journey, and bold and fearless means something very different to every single person listening. So I want to share with you 4 key ways to be bold and fearless in your own life. The first way, and this too, well, every one of these 4 is a revolutionary act, but this one in particular is really a revolutionary act in the world in which we live today. So the first way I want to share with you is to enter into relationship with the living world. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So today where I am, I'm on the East Coast of the US in Maryland, and it is a really windy day, and it's pretty cold, pretty chilly. It was raining all night, and now it's just cold and windy. So I looked out the window, and I looked at my dog who needed to go out, and I thought, oh, I don't want to go out there. And, you know, I'm the nature person, right? But we all have those moments where we're like, yeah, no, I don't want to go out in the cold or whatever it might be. But as soon as I stepped outside, I entered into the living world, like the life that surrounds us. So there were, you know, the wind is blowing, and so the leaves are starting to fall down from the trees here, right? And so there's all this movement, all this motion, the leaves on the ground getting kicked up and rolling around in the wind, and the plants that are small plants, you know, waving. And here in my backyard, the goldenrod is blooming. So it's this pop of gold color amidst a kind of a dreary day. And the birds are flying, but they're kind of like they're having to struggle with the wind, right? So just noticing these things, noticing these little details of the living world around us, I was instantly reconnected with my connection with nature and with the trees and with the land and the earth around me and the sky, right? Connecting in with our living world, which is always there. It is always available to us, is just so powerful. And it is a revolutionary act in our times, because we are, you know, modern culture, and most people right now, we're, you know, indoors staring at screens. I don't want to overgeneralize, but it's very true these days, right? Or we're kind of trying to shelter ourselves and, you know, like on a cold, chilly day like this, stay inside. But really taking that time, even just 2 minutes or 5 minutes, to step into the living world and really notice what's going on out there. Notice the birds and the trees and the clouds, or if you go outside at night, notice the stars and the moon, right? So I really invite you to step outside today or tonight and really notice. Really look around and see the living world and feel yourself not just observing, but feel yourself being observed, because it is all living around you, right? There are the plants noticing you. There are other animals, the birds, for example, noticing you. And don't doubt, know in your heart that there is a higher intelligence also noticing you, stepping out and engaging in that way. It's very powerful. And, I am very tapped into this. So when I go outside, I'm always either like staring straight up at the sky or staring down at the ground, like looking for feathers or leaves or whatever. And I sometimes miss people walking by because I'm always looking either up at the cosmos or down at the earth, which is kind of funny. But I really invite you to step into that living world. And so Amanda just mentioned, took my grandchildren for a walk down the canal path. That's beautiful. And especially if you can do this with children, it's just amazing because they notice and they are tapped into the magic in such a deep way. One book I will recommend to you, and I'll put this in the chat, is The Spell of the Sensuous by David Abram. If you haven't already read this book, this is an amazing way to kind of somewhat intellectually, but also in a felt sense, really gain access to the deeper world that's available to us. He writes beautifully and will really give you a sense for that. But there are many different ways we can do this, right? So one that I highly recommend is to track the cycles of the earth, moon, sun, and stars, and really reestablish the ancient connection and the ancient reciprocity that humans have always had with the earth and the cosmos. And we can do this using technology. So there are different apps that are available. One that I love is called Earth Sky. Or no, you know what? Sorry, it's called Skyview. But I'll tell you about Earth Sky too. So Skyview is an app that you can get for free, completely free, and you can point it. So if you're outside at night and you see a really bright star, you can point your phone at that star and you can see either the name of the star, or you might often find out it's a planet, like it might be Jupiter, it might be Venus, it might be Mars, and you can get to know the constellations and the stars and the planets that are standing out to you as you stare at the nighttime sky. It's really beautiful, and it really connects you in a beautiful way. And also Earth Sky, you can go to earthsky.org. I'll type that in too. So we have Skyview app for your phone, and then we have Earth Sky. If you register for the earthsky.org newsletter, they'll send you an update every day on, like, okay, the moon is going to be next to Jupiter tonight, or you can see an asteroid shower tonight near this constellation, and they show you like a chart of the sky and let you know where to go and look at what time of the night. It's really amazing and fantastic, and again, it's a great way to get connected in to the cosmos. Also, I really strongly recommend that you start noting the phases of the moon. So right now the moon is almost full. It will be full on Wednesday, I think, in most time zones, because the moon so strongly affects us. It affects our emotions. It is tied in, of course, to women's menstrual systems, right? Menstrual cycles, I should say. And, you know, it's a proven fact that on the full moon, there are far more crimes and like police reports generated because people are being more outward, right? And people are doing kind of crazier things and expressing themselves more fully. And sometimes that comes across in positive ways and sometimes in negative ways. And that's where we get the crime reports. But that always happens more on the full moon. And also for people that work in the medical field, or especially in the ER, it's much busier on the full moon, right? So then the full moon is calling us to be real active and outward and kind of social and expressing ourselves. But then on the new moon, we feel more like being inward, maybe staying home instead of going out, maybe doing something quiet like reading a book. And so when you connect with the moon cycles and really notice how the moon is affecting you on a personal level, it's very profound. And you might even start realizing that, okay, I should plan my social outings or plan my holiday party for a time when it's the full moon, because it'll be a more fun party and you'll have more energy for it, right? And when the new moon is coming up, plan to maybe stay home. It's really powerful. We can also track our own inner rhythms. For example, women of childbearing age, you can become intimately familiar with your menstrual cycle, right? If you're not already tracking it, and see how it aligns with the moon cycles. Tree Sisters, which the founder of Tree Sisters, Claire Dubois, is going to be speaking on Wednesday live. But Tree Sisters collaborated with Alexandra Pope to create a course called Wild Power, and it was about connecting with their menstrual cycle. This is really, really powerful. This is ancient wisdom that we've lost track of, right? And so really doing that, connecting with your cycles, your natural cycles, and seeing how they connect with the cycles of nature, very, very powerful. And even for men or for women who are not of childbearing age and don't have that cycle going on right now, notice how your emotions fluctuate with the seasons or with the amount of daylight as we're moving in some places of the world from fall into winter, and in other places in the world from spring into summer. How are you feeling? How is that affecting you? and also in alignment with the waxing and waning moon. How does that affect your emotions and how you feel? And so these are all different ways that we can connect with the living world, connect with the natural cycles that are all around us all the time. And again, it's a revolutionary act because so many people in our world today are just kind of closed off from that, and we're never shown or taught anything about it. So this is a whole new way, or realigning with an ancient way of living and being that is so important for us. Okay, so that was the first way, to be bold and fearless. The second way I want to share with you is to take one big, bold step toward doing something that you love. Something that just lights you up, and especially if it scares you. And this may be very closely connected with what you put in the chat earlier about something that's been calling and calling and calling out to you, and you have been ignoring or not taking action on it. So think about, what is something that you would love to do that just lights you up? And as I said, especially if it scares you, because chances are that this is deeply interconnected with your sacred contribution that you're meant to make to the world. So here's something that you can do to kind of activate this. And I encourage you to even try to do this now while we're on the call together. You can create a statement that describes the core of everything that you stand for. Okay? Everything that you take action on, everything that you stand strongly for in your life, everything that you want to take action on in the future. And I'll share mine with you. Okay, so this is a statement that describes the core of who you are, what you stand for, and what you are here to create. So my statement is this: I am here to create, activate, and facilitate a new reality, right? So I encourage you to write yours, to think about what that might be, to come back to this even after the webinar is over, and think about, what is that core statement that describes you and your unique sacred contribution to the world, and write that down. So now, next, think about something that you have always wanted to do but have either put off for later, and it's probably the same thing you wrote earlier, or maybe you've put it off because you feel terrified to do it, right? Maybe you haven't done it yet because you're afraid. Yet you know in your heart that doing this would be so important in moving you toward your soul's purpose. So just some examples might be starting a women's circle or a men's circle, or spending 2 days alone in nature in complete solitude, or taking a training program on something that's very different from what your career or your income source is right now. So, for example, maybe you feel called to be a healer, and maybe you have been longing to take a Reiki training, or maybe you've been longing to take a training in reading oracle cards, something like that. That is very, very different from how you've been making your living in the past, but you feel really called to it. Go ahead and sign up for a training in it and just see what happens, see who you meet, see what new opportunities arise. Another idea is to buy a book on a topic you've always wanted to learn more about, or to start a business or a community or a movement. So just really think about this. What is one way that you can take action toward doing this important thing which you've put off for any of a number of different reasons? What is one way that you can take action? And when we open up the Q&A, I invite you all who feel called to share with me, what is your action, or what is the thing that you know you need to do that you've been putting off that's calling to you? And if you know what your action might be, to share that, because again, being witness is really, really powerful. Okay, so the third key way to be bold and fearless in your life is to do what you are most afraid of. Now, very often this is kind of intertwined and intermingled with the thing you've been putting off that you know you would love to do. Okay, but doing what you are most afraid of is extremely powerful and extremely important. And again, it is a revolutionary act. So let me explain that a little more. So the truth is that our deepest fears almost always point us toward our higher purpose. There's a karmic reason why we have these big fears. Now, when I talk about doing what you're most afraid of, I'm not talking about a fear of spiders or a fear of heights. These are kind of more biological fears that are, have kind of developed to save us from things that could put us at risk, that are kind of normal for all humans to have, right? What I'm talking about is, in your unique experience, what would absolutely push you to your limits, and at the same time, you have a deep sense that it would also help you to grow and move forward in immeasurable ways on your life's journey. And I'll give you an example. Many, many, many of the clients that I work with and the people who attend my events have a deep-seated fear of becoming visible. So for many of them, they have some recollection of past lives where they were either harmed or cast out from the community or even killed for speaking their truth, or for being a healer or a teacher, or for expressing, that what was in their heart and soul. Right. And so now in this lifetime, they have a very, very deep-seated fear of becoming visible, of speaking their truth, of putting themselves out there in a big way where other people could see and hear them. So if you feel that way, then you're in the right community. There's lots of people here that feel that way too. But if you feel that way, it is so important that you find a way to become visible and to overcome that fear, and to know that now you are safe, right? Things are very different now than they were in past times when people could be, really, really persecuted for standing up, right? And of course, depending on where you are, it may be more or less safe, right? But if you're in the US or if you're in Canada or the UK, these places, it's generally going to be safe for you to speak up. So I really invite you to do that, and to find some way that you can express yourself or become a healer or a teacher. Start your own business or your own community or your own movement, and really make that happen, because your wisdom is deeply needed. So here's why, in order to grow, we absolutely must do what we are most afraid of. So in ancient times, as well as in indigenous cultures still existing today that are practicing their traditional ways, doing what we were afraid of, or doing what would push us to our limits, was encouraged. Okay, so think about some of the ceremonies that are, being revitalized right now, like Vision Quest, right, where we will, sit out without food, and in some cases without food or water for one overnight, or for 4 full days and 3 full nights. That pushes us to our physical limits, and that brings us into a deep place of fear, and actually a feeling of not knowing if we'll survive, right? So these kinds of things that would push us to our limits and that would bring up our fears were encouraged, because in that framework, the ancient and indigenous framework of deep connection with the living world, it's so clear that we grow stronger and expand into the fullness of who we really are, and become enabled and empowered to bring our gifts to the world. That all happens when we do what we're most afraid of, right? It's just kind of a natural extension. It's something that we know. But we've so significantly lost this in our modern world. In our modern society, we are trained to try really, really hard to be comfortable all of the time, right? Everything is kind of built and centered around these conveniences, so that we're always at the most comfortable temperature. We're sheltered from the wind and the rain and the snow. Stores are filled with everything that we could possibly need. And this is honestly not natural, right? But this is the world that we live in, and we're all very accustomed to it. So we start to develop this sense of, I need to be comfortable all the time. And really, when we push ourselves outside of that, when we put ourselves in a situation to be outside the whole time for 4 days and 3 nights, no matter what the weather might bring, then we are opening up to the deepest life. Okay. And you don't have to do it in that extreme of a way. That's just an example. That's a Vision Quest example. So think about this. Think about this. what are you most afraid of? And what would doing that thing that you're most afraid of, how would it benefit you? When you think about that, I'm sure you can see the karmic connections between doing what you're most afraid of and really stepping into alignment with your life's purpose. And I also invite you to think about these things that I've talked about here today. So what is it that is calling to you from the edges of your awareness that you have not yet taken action on? What is it that you love and would light you up and you haven't taken action on? And what is it that scares you the most? Now, I know this is a lot to think about all at one time, but what I want to invite you to do is, I'll give you a journaling practice in a second here. And look at where these 3 questions intersect. And that is pretty much guaranteed to be something that is calling you to step into your highest purpose, into your soul's mission. Okay? So I invite you to try a journaling exercise, and just you can take a couple notes on this now, but I invite you to do this not during the time that I'm talking, but then after this call is over, to really sink into this journaling exercise. So I invite you to leave probably maybe 2 full pages for each of these questions. So the first question is, what have I been sorry, I'm blanking out. I've asked so many questions, I'm forgetting what I asked. So what is it that is calling to me from the edges and that I've been putting off or ignoring? Okay, so write that down. That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, what is it that I would absolutely love to do and that would just light me up more than anything else? And again, maybe that I've been putting off. And question number 3 is, what scares me the most, but I know I'm called to do it? So what I invite you to do is to have those 3 questions and write those 3 questions each at the top of a blank page or even 2 pages. And set aside 5 minutes for each question. So you want to have the first question written at the top of your journal page or blank page. Set your timer for 5 minutes and just write what your deeper, your heart and soul answer to that question. Okay, so just really tap in and just write and write and write until the timer goes off at 5 minutes. So 5 minutes for that first question alone. Just write and write and write all the answers that you can come up with or that are coming from a deeper place within you. Doing this writing, it's kind of like automatic writing. It really, especially as you go along and as you get to like the 2 and 3 and 4 minute mark, you're really getting into your deeper awareness, your subconscious mind. Very, very powerful. And as you're writing, know that you don't have to write in complete sentences. It doesn't have to make sense. It can be random phrases that are not connected. It doesn't matter. You are pulling things out of your inner awareness and your subconscious mind. Okay, so it doesn't have to make sense. Yes, I'll type those 3 questions in the chat in just a minute. And I'll also post them where my interview recording is posted. I'll post them there. So write for 5 minutes on the first question, write for 5 minutes on the second question, write for 5 minutes on the third question, and then close your journal or put that piece of paper away and don't look at it for 24 hours. This is an important part. You've just done this really, really deep dive and you want to just let it go for a little bit. Then 24 hours later or more, come back to it and using a highlighter or a colored pen, right? Highlight, so read through your responses to yourself. Highlight or circle anything that really, really stands out to you, okay? You want to try not to highlight or circle every single thing because everything might stand out to you, but really try to pick the things that are kind of a surprise or something that is more bold and fearless than you expected from yourself, for example. Okay, so come back and do that, and then look at what you have circled or highlighted with your colors and see what stands out and see where the 3 questions, where your answer to the 3 questions overlap. That's going to be a really powerful indicator of what you need to take action on in your life to create powerful, radical change. Okay, Let me take just a second to write these questions in the chat, so hang on with me here for just a minute. Okay, so there you go. There are the 3 questions, so you can write those down and journal on those. Okay, so the last way, so I promised you 4 ways to be bold and fearless, and we've talked about 3. So we talked about enter into a relationship with the living world, taking one big bold step toward doing something that you love, and doing what you're most afraid of. And the last way that I want to invite you to be bold and fearless is to embrace technology in new ways. And this is something that you might not have expected in this list, but I feel it's really important. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we kind of, technology gets a bad rap because many people are using it in ways that are kind of numbing or escaping from what's really going on. I invite you to use technology in ways that benefit your highest good. So attending this conference is one, right? Really, really opening yourself up to new perspectives and wisdom and insights and information that you may not have experienced before that are going to help you move forward powerfully. And also, if you are someone out there who is thinking of starting your own business or your own community or your own movement, or maybe you already have started that, and you've been afraid of the technology, or you've been staying away from the technology for one reason or another, or you haven't gotten started on creating your platform because you don't know about all the technology options involved, I invite you to really dive into that and to take steps forward in learning more about it in new and different ways, because there is just so much possible. And I feel so strongly that technology like this Zoom meeting that we're on, so there's 136 of us gathered here right now from all around the world, and we're going, in just a minute when we do the Q&A, we'll be talking to each other like we're sitting across the dining room table from one another, right? It is amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. And I know I can, and probably many of you out there can, really feel the energy of the group, this beautiful energy of us gathering together and joining our hearts together on common ground, right? And to create change in our lives. Really powerful. So I encourage you to step into this in new ways. And I'll share with you my free gifts in a minute, and in a couple of my free gifts, there's a way to really engage with this in a deeper level. So I invite you to think about, how can you use technology in new and creative and unprecedented ways to create the change that you know you are meant to for our world. Okay, so I want to, before we go to the Q&A, which we're almost there, I want to share with you about my free gifts that I'm offering. So this is another logistical note quickly here. So every speaker, or almost every speaker, is offering at least one free gift to you. So I really encourage you, after you watch the interviews, if it's someone who you really, really resonated with what they were speaking about, to go and claim their free gifts. So my free gifts to you, I have 3 of them, and I will post them in the chat in just a minute, but let me give you a little outline of what they are first. So the first gift is a free live workshop that I'm going to be presenting on November 5th. So this will be on Monday, November 5th. That is called Connect with Your Womb Space and Your Moon Sign to Awaken Your Creative Life Force. And this is something that's going to be so much fun. It's actually going to be partially a creative session, because we're going to create our moon sign mandalas, okay? And there is so much wisdom hidden in your moon sign. Totally okay to attend if you don't have a womb. This free gift is more for women, okay? But If you are a man and you would like to attend, you will get a lot out of it still. It will be really, really wonderful and amazing, or you are welcome to share it with a special woman in your life who might want to attend. So, but I would love to have some wonderful men attending as well. So when you connect with your moon sign is the key to what is hidden, right? But it's like the undercurrents of your personality, the undercurrents of your emotional life, and the creative source that is hidden within you, and the way that you are meant to create things out into the world. So the moon sign is the sign that the moon was in when you were born. So if you don't know your moon sign yet, or if you do know your moon sign and would like to learn more about it, this will be a really, really powerful workshop on November 5th. So I invite you to join me. I'll give you a link to join in just a second here. My second free gift that I want to share with you is the Your Visionary Business 3-part entrepreneurial training series. So if you are one of those people out there who is creating your own business or movement or community or venture, I invite you to join and experience this 3-part video training series where you will learn so much about how to create your business from the ground up in really powerful ways that will allow you to speak your truth and make an amazing income while doing what you love. So that is my second free gift. And my third free gift is you can enter a drawing to win a one-on-one call with me if you would like to create an online summit like the one that you're watching now. As I've mentioned, this is just such a powerful way to create change in the world. And it is also, if you are an entrepreneur who wants to expand your reach and get your message out to a wider audience and really revolutionize your whole business and take it to the next level, it's a really fantastic way to do that. So if you're interested in that, and I ask you to submit for this one-on-one call only if you're really, really serious about creating an online event. But if you are, I have a link here that you can click and fill out an application, and then I'm going to choose 1 or 2 applicants from there. So let me put all of this into the chat so you can see the links. Now, if you're watching this as a recording, okay, there you go. You'll have the 3 links there for those 3 gifts. You're welcome to claim 1 or 2 or all 3. Whatever you feel called to. If you're watching this as a recording, then just scroll down below the video screen that you're watching and you'll see those 3 free gifts listed with the links to click on to claim them. It'll all be right there. And one more thing I want to say before we go to the Q&A is that I'm working on something really exciting that's going to be a new announcement in the week following this Embracing Radical Change event. It's going to be really, really a huge opportunity for those of you who are experiencing radical change or wanting to create radical change in your lives. So I invite you all to look forward to that, to keep an eye on your emails. It's kind of a secret right now, but it will be coming out the week following this event. So just look out for that. And I want to read a quote from a man named Rich Roll, he is a vegan ultra athlete. So he is doing these amazing athletic feats without, completely on a plant-based diet. He says this really beautiful quote. He says, "We are, all of us, sitting on mountains of untapped human potential." And I just love that because it's so true. There is so much more possible and available to each and every one of us, each and every one of you out there, than you could possibly know or understand at this moment. And I hope that through attending this event, you will be opened up and really come to understand on a much deeper level what you're truly capable of and how you are sent here to change the world in these catalyzing times. Okay, so with that, I am going to open up the Q&A. And so if you would like to speak with me, you can raise your hand and I will bring you over here to talk with me. And so there's one person with their hand raised. So Jill, you've had your hand raised for quite some time. I just want to confirm with you first that you meant to raise your hand. I know sometimes it can happen by accident. So Jill, if you would like to talk with me, just put yes in the chat. And I'll bring you over first because you've been on there waiting for quite some time. And anybody else who would like to talk with me and ask me a question, or I would absolutely love if you would share with me some of the insights that have come through for you during this call about something that is at the edges of your awareness, but and you've been putting it off, but you know you're meant to do it. or what you would love to do more than anything else, or what you're most afraid of. I would love to have you share any of those insights with me here. Okay, so Lenore, I'm going to bring you over first. And when you come on over, you will be on video, but you're welcome to turn off your video, but I welcome you to stay visible because that too is, okay. Hi, is it Lenore or Lenora? Can you hear me okay? We can hear and see you now, Lenora, so welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was on, but must have pushed the wrong button. But I do have a question, and that has to do with when one becomes a certain age and certain limits, how can we expand our ideas into community with physical limits and age limits and so on? Do you have a comment on that?
I just want to make sure that I understand your question. So do you have an example just so that I can understand it a little more concretely? Like what kind, like if you're...
Well, I have wished to develop a community of like-minded people expressing themselves through art, cutting-edge ideas, et cetera, et cetera.
Beautiful.
But it seems in my mid-70s that is not expanding but contracting.
Okay. As far as
how we push through that sort of energy.
Okay. Yes. And you do mean as far as creating a physical gathering, that sort of a thing where people would be coming together? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Well, so of course this is going to depend very much on your unique individual situation, right? But I
absolutely.
Yeah. So I do encourage you to think really creatively about how you might be able to bring people together. And again, you know, technology is popping up as an option here, of course, because you can gather people on a forum like this, even if everybody can't get to a physical location. You can gather people on a forum like this, like Zoom, and, you know, I have, you know, clients who teach yoga on Zoom. I have people who teach art lessons on Zoom. So it's really amazing what you can do in this format if the getting around physically is a limitation, which I don't know if that's the case or not. But also, what I would invite you to do is to connect with some resources in your community, such as if there are holistic learning centers or holistic
health. It's limited, unfortunately.
Your mobility is limited?
No, the aspects of this community that I live in.
Oh, the community is either small or not open to these kinds of things?
Yes.
Is that okay? Well, so that's even more in favor of using the technology, you know, because you know, you can reach everyone in the world, right? Really, language, whether you know what language people speak is really the only limitation. You know, if you speak English, then you could reach all the people in the world that speak English. Like, it's really incredible what is available. So I would encourage you to think about that fourth key that I mentioned of embracing technology, because this could open up some really big and exciting new things for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you want to do creative, you know, creating art, that sort of thing, I think you mentioned, there are ways to set up the camera, you know, where you could, show everybody what you're working on and invite them to do the same, invite them to purchase the materials, and you could have people on all different continents doing this with you, which is just so powerful.
Thank you.
Yes, I hope that's helpful.
Blessings to everyone.
Blessings to you, and thank you so much for asking the question. Hope you have a wonderful day. Okay, very exciting. All right, so Sue, let me bring you over now. Whoops, there we go. All right, Sue, you should be showing up here in just a minute. There we go.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Sue. Welcome.
Hi. I'm sitting in my garden, so I was enjoying what you were saying about nature. because I'm actually on my sweet beach listening to this. So
I can see the sun shining on your face.
Yeah, the sun's just going down here in the UK. So yeah, I'm writing this book, and I've been writing it for about 8 to 9 years, and I know I have a huge fear of really kind of going for it, and yet I feel so strongly the calling. I was actually in tears when you were talking about the thing that you were ignoring and that you feel such a deep calling. And I've had people read parts of it, and the feedback is really good, and it's just a kind of fear of rejection, publishers, and all of that that's holding me back. Oh, maybe it's also probably a fear of success. Sometimes I think actually I fear that more, almost, you know, to what that might mean, to the visible and the then what. So yeah, it was really nice, your encouragement so far. So I just thought I'd say that this has really deeply prompted me. So thank you already for that.
Good. I'm so glad. Yes, and so many of those kind of logistical or physical details that seem to be obstacles in our way can really very easily overcome. And what really is holding us back is more of that, you know, either fear of failure or fear of success or fear of visibility. So it's so important to really work with that underlying fear or that uneasiness with, oh my gosh, what would happen if this actually went forward, you know, to really work with that in a profound way. I will share in the chat. So there's a free online course that I offer through my business. And I'm going to just put the link to that in the chat because it's really powerful for working with these kind of fears and limiting beliefs that tend to hold us back from taking action on the things we've been talking about today. So I'm just putting this in the chat right now. Here's my free course. It's called Learning to Fly. And so anybody who is here on the call or is listening to this as a recording can access that. I really invite everybody to. I put a lot of my heart and soul into that, and I think it would be helpful for you, you know, Sue, in this situation of really stepping into this new thing of writing your book. It will help you move through some of the blocks.
Well, I've nearly finished writing it, so it's less the writing it; it's more the, you know, it's only about a chapter and a half off finished now, so it's just really, you know, getting it to a point I'm happy, and then, you know, putting it out really. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
It's not so far off. I've been writing it for about 8 to 9 years, so it's a labor of love.
That is I'm so excited for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I encourage you to take action on that. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Sue.
Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. Agnes, I think I'm seeing your name right there. I'm bringing you over now. Let's see. Hi, Agnes. I'm trying to unmute you. Let's see if this will work. Can you unmute yourself on your side? Oh, no, I think it's good now. Yeah. Hi. Welcome.
Okay. I took the first step actually now because you said, you know, like do the things you're most afraid of, and that's being visible. Oh my God. So I thought, okay, I raised my hand. It's the first step. That's really
congratulations. It's really big to be visible in this way. I know. So yes.
I don't know why, but you know, like I love to connect with people, like really, like I love to empower them, like, but just, you know, like one-on-one and not in front of any other people. So how would you think I should go forward? Actually, I thought about doing a summit like you're doing, you know, like with change last year. And I wrote some names and then I put it aside, you know. It's like, okay, this year it came up again. And I thought, oh, I already started last year, but, you know, and I want to do retreats, you know, like for women to overcome their fears, to do, you know, but I'm not a speaker, you know. And now I'm like, oh, I know all these women, I have these connections, and I would love to put them in a, you know, like, but what am I supposed to do? So, you know, other people can do, but not me. You know, I'm a single mom of 3 children, and I've been I can work on my own fear. Like you say, you know, be bold, be brave. Like everybody told me, like, you're so bold, you're so brave. Because I went to Costa Rica, I moved with my 3 children by myself to the jungle, you know, in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
I can do things like that, you know. I can empower others, but I cannot be visible. Like right now, oof, you know, it's like.
Well, I just want to say, Agnes, I love your energy and your personality. You're so beautiful, and just, I love what you are bringing here into the space with your energy. It's really fantastic. And just the fact that you got on here and you raised your hand and you didn't turn off your video when I brought you over. I mean, it's huge. It really is. I want to congratulate you on that, first of all.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to say too that, you know, if you're feeling called to create something like this, there's a reason, you know, and like I said earlier, these things they're tied into like the karmic reason why we're here. So I have kind of no doubt right now that you're meant to share something like this on a bigger level. And, you know, you don't have to be interviewed or give your own presentation the first time around that you do this. You could just be interviewing the other experts. You know, and kind of a little bit more low pressure way, you know, for you as the creator and the presenter of the whole thing, because it's much easier to just ask the questions than to be the one, like, you know, giving the information. So if that feels more comfortable for you, you know, you can, and you would still be growing your business and opening up, you know, connections with women all around the world who might then attend your retreats, and connecting with speakers and letting them share their message. So, you know, you can create something really powerful even without putting yourself on the spot too much in that way. I don't know how that feels for you. And then maybe if you do it again in a future time, then you could do your own talk, your own interview, or your own presentation.
Okay.
Ease into it that way.
Okay, we'll see. You know, I did the Kundalini yoga teachers training, you know, so I'm a certified teacher, but I never thought, you know, like I've never been teaching anyone, you know. It's like I did the training, I love it, but I cannot get in front of the group. You know, just oh my God.
You know, you really and truly you can. You really can. It's just we all have these blocks and these fears that kind of keep us, so, you know, our subconscious mind and our habitual patterns want us to stay the same and want us to, like, you know, stay in what feels safe and familiar. And I'm sure you've heard all this before, right? Wants us to stay in what's safe and familiar. But we actually can do so much more than that. And once we create the experience of doing something different and something that feels really scary, then all of our internal processes and our subconscious mind can say, oh my gosh, we did that and we survived and it was actually okay and it was actually amazing, you know. And then it gets easier and easier to do it.
Okay. But how was it for you? Because you seem to be so natural, you know. I love your talk, you know. It's like you have all this knowledge, all this wisdom, all this, you know, like.
You do too. You really truly do. I have no doubt.
Okay, thank you.
Believe in yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I applied for your coaching last night, so we'll see. I will see.
Yes. Yay. That's wonderul. Yes. I hope we will get to talk. I would love to talk with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Really believe in yourself, and I can't wait to see what you will create.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, Agnes.
You too.
All right. Really amazing and wonderful. Okay. I know. That's what I'm saying. Yes, Agnes, listen to this. You should read some of the comments. Oh my gosh, so many beautiful comments. So, and Remco said, you just showed us that you are already a natural speaker, Agnes, which, yes, I totally agree. Totally agree. And like I said, I love your energy, Agnes. You can do this. I have no doubt. I have all confidence in you. All right, so there are not any other hands raised right now. So last call, last chance. If you want to ask a question, go ahead and raise your hand. Oh, Jocelyn, hi. So there is Jocelyn in South Africa is raising her hand. And let me bring you over right now. Here we go. Hi, Jocelyn. How are you? Welcome.
This is thanks to Agnes that I'm finally becoming visible, because I am the same as her. Also very good with people in person, but coming online, as you know, I've been attending your workshops for a long time, and so thank you, Agnes. So I just wanted to come on and say thank you so much for what you're doing. It's absolutely amazing, and what a wonderful group of speakers you have. I'm so excited to see Charles Eisenstein and to have him actually live.
I know.
So we can actually come on and ask him questions. And if I'm up still, because it'll be pretty late, I hope to come on again and ask him some questions.
Yes, I hope you can attend. I know it's going to be late for you, but I think it'll be super, super worth it to stay up till midnight to get to ask.
So thank you, Jocelyn, and thank you, Agnes.
Well,
and
thank you.
I'm really looking forward to the next few days.
Yay. I'm so glad you're here along on this adventure with us. And yeah, I hope you get to see so many of the talks live and really, really enjoy them. And thank you for coming on here and being visible too. That is fantastic and really, really big.
All right. That was all I wanted to do. Just come and say thank you, and thanks to Agnes, because she's the one who helped me get over my fear.
Yay. That is fantastic. Well, thank you, Jocelyn. Have a great day, and I'm sure I'll see you on here again.
Cool. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, wonderful. Thank you all who raised your hands for being brave and bold and fearless and sharing. That's fantastic. And thank you all who are attending live and who are watching this as a recording. I hope you have enjoyed it so much, and I just can't wait for you to experience all of the interviews that are coming up. They're all so amazing, these speakers. I'm just honored and beyond excited to get to speak with all of them. So I hope you all enjoy this so much. Now remember that our next live interview is going to be at 1 p.m. New York time, and this will be with Teal Swan, who is really an incredible revolutionary, and she's going to be talking about loneliness, the worldwide epidemic, and how to reconnect with true connection in our life. So this is going to be really, really powerful. She's an amazing speaker. So I hope you'll join me there. And if you want to attend live, it's at the exact same Zoom link that you used to attend this one. Well, I'll see you all again soon. Have a wonderful day until then. Bye.